Brutally Honest Talk Radio. This is Elmo the Conservative, and this is the first show since the election. I have a lot to say. I know that once I get started, I might not be able to stop. So let me get some things said before we begin. First of all, welcome to the show. Uh, if you're listening to this on YouTube, please click the notification bell as well as subscribe. Those that have already subscribed, thank you very much. I appreciate you. We appreciate you. And just want to let you know that you can follow us on Instagram, on Twitter, X, formerly known as Twitter, and Facebook. There's a Facebook group. Please join and be a part of that. Leave comments in the YouTube chat, but that's really y'all are commenting to each other. If you really want to make sure that I see what you have to say, you can send us an email. You can email us about anything about the show or about content, but the email address the the email address is brutehonest.radio@gmail.com. So welcome again, everybody. And here we go. The first show since the election. I know that most of the people that are watching or listening to this show are glad that Donald Trump was reelected. You are glad. I'm glad too. And I'm going to go into that in a second. I know that some of you listening to this show are not. I know that half the country is disappointed or angry that Kamala Harris did not win. And I just want to tell you, you can't get the one that you want to win all the time. Nothing, no matter who gets elected president, nothing is the beginning or ending of anything. It was not going to be the end of democracy. I don't believe, since we have such a great setup in our government with three co-equal branches of government. Yes, if Kamala Harris had won, she would have put forth her policies and the policies of the Democrat Party. But we also have a Congress with many Republicans in it. And we have a Supreme Court, who the majority of them are Republican voters or, right-leaning or conservative. So for things to really go extreme and go off the rails, either the right or the left, you would need several consecutive terms on the same side. And so we have a balance. It's an ongoing battle. This is what happens. This is how it works. But many are glad, like I said, for the people that are watching this show, because that's all we have right now. That's who we are. The people listening to this show, most of them are people who agree with what I say, and that's fine. Many times I'm focused on the people that don't agree with me and trying to change their mind. So let me start with that. I'm glad. I am glad. This has never happened except for one other time in American history with President Grover Cleveland, who ran, and then when he ran for reelection, he lost, but he came back to run again in a third term, in a third election, and won. And Donald Trump is the first one to do that since Grover Cleveland. But I'm glad that Trump is in there, and it's not 2016 where we're speculating on what he would do or what he might do. Now, I and the rest of the country can look at what Trump did the 4 years that he was in there, and I can tell you, I like what he did. If you've heard me say this before, I'm sorry, but I'm going to say it again. We got some new people. He's the best president since Ronald Reagan. He's the first president or the only president of my lifetime to keep all his promises. And I want y'all to think back to 2017. He was elected in 2016, but didn't take office until January 2017. 2017, 2018, 2019, three of the best years of my life and your life economically. Energy independent, low unemployment, economy so great and there's so many people working, and prices were low, inflation very low. Anybody who wanted to have two jobs had two jobs. Things were booming. Everything was great until until COVID-19 came along in 2020 and things went sideways. And Trump actually did such a good job as president that when the Democrats started running in 2020, they couldn't criticize the economy at all. They couldn't say anything bad about him except for COVID, something that nobody would have been able to handle. There was no experience, there was no precedent to go by, a brand new killer disease, and the president of the United States is not God. But even with that, Trump did a very good job. He brought about the stimulus checks first to help people because millions of people lost their jobs and the economy went south. And I'm not going to go back into that. It was a terrible time. 2020 and 2021. The pandemic lasts, I don't know, 2 years at least. 2 years of everything that came with that. And I'm not going to go into it. I'm just reminding you because some people have political amnesia. 2017, 18, and 19, three of the best years of your life, at least economically, and us being safe, not being involved in any wars. I don't care how old you are. If you're 15 years old or if you're 65, three of the best years of your life economically. Also, I don't want people to be scared. There are certain media organizations that were talking about what he's gonna do and all these things that he supposedly is gonna do that he never did the first term that he was in there. And when he was running the first time, he said, lock Hillary up, and he was gonna go after her. She definitely went after him with the lies about Russian collusion. And we know that Hillary told Biden before the 2020 election, if you lose, you need to say that the election was stolen. So I don't want anybody coming at Trump like he's crazy or out of line or you're not allowing the democratic process to go along the way that it should go. They've been doing that, saying that the election was stolen since Al Gore. All right. And that was in 2000. So anyway, I'm glad. I'm glad that he's going to be back in there. It's inspiring. It makes me more optimistic about the future. Not just him, but the other Republicans that are lined up to come after him. Which right now, I would guess the number one person that would get the chance to get the nomination in 2028 would be J.D. Vance. And some people don't know much about him, but they're gonna know. They're gonna find out over the next 4 years. And he's a very smart guy, very intelligent. Doesn't matter that he's in his 30s, which is young for a presidential candidate. He's a smart guy and a great person. If anything happened to Donald Trump, I feel totally confident with him at the helm. If something should happen, hopefully it won't. So I feel optimistic about the future. And the other two or the next two people that are vying for position up there with JD Vance, with JD Vance being number one, but the other two, of course, to me are Ramaswamy and Ron DeSantis, who both of them have done a good job, have a good history, are smart guys. So that's just speaking to the future of the Republican Party. So that's why I'm glad. I think he did a good job the 4 years that he was in there, and I want more of the same or more. Also, I want to encourage people, and I was saying, don't be scared, and all these liars and people using scare tactics on left wing media and news programs. I can't think of a time where any president, whatever you may say about him or think about him, that his second term in office was worse than the first. I'm not sure, because Lyndon Baines Johnson was pretty bad. I'm not sure of him saying if we put these N words on welfare, they'll vote for us for the next 200 years, and we're going to give them their leaders. I mean, he was a bad president, one of the worst. But and then getting us into Vietnam. Well, let's see. Yeah, Vietnam, we got into that in 65. So yeah, I guess Johnson is the exception, that he takes the cake. His second term was worse than his first, which he finished out, because Kennedy got assassinated. But I digress. So I want people, listen, two things. If Kamala had won, and it was a close race, she got over 200 electoral votes. If she had won, my first thoughts would have been hoping and praying and saying, I hope she does well. I hope that when she's confronted face to face with adversity, that she wouldn't be a puppet, and that she would think, and she would show people that she has a mind of her own, and show people that she's brilliant, that she would do what's best for the country and back off all of these progressive, extreme, left-wing ideologies and agendas. But I would have hoped that she would have made good decisions. If somebody wins the election and they're not who I voted for, they're still my president. So let's stop that. There's one United States of America, and we only have one president at a time. And I can't say that somebody is not my president because I disagree with them. So that's always my thought. And if you think that Kamala Harris did a great job the 4 years that she was vice president, I would expect you to vote for her. Just like, that's the reason why I voted for Trump. He proved himself. He showed himself. So that's the first thing, or the initial thing I want to start off with. And so, yeah, just to encourage everybody again, hope for the best. Hope that we don't get involved in a war, or that the economy goes south, that the economy gets better. I have full confidence that it will. Trump has a comprehensive plan to bring down the price of groceries and gas, which is bringing down the cost of energy. Energy? Well, I guess that would include electricity, but mainly oil. Because oil, which is converted into gasoline, is related to it's like going up the spine of the economy. Almost everything is connected to it when it comes to commerce or business. So it behooves us to keep the price of gas down, to keep the price of oil down. And he's not scared to drill. I'm glad. Alaska is 1/3 the size of the lower 48 states. So if we have 300 or 400 square miles that we're drilling in, it's not going to be a huge threat to the environment. Drill, baby, drill, as Trump said. That's a good thing. So he has a comprehensive plan. But, I think he did a good job the first 4 years that he was in there, and that he's going to implement. He knows what works. He's going to go back to that, and he's going to do some new things that he didn't have a chance to do, because some things you just can't do everything in the first 4 years. I think that that one way that we move toward unity, something that's good for the country, is we focus more on identifying as Americans than identifying by our race. We are our race. It is our background. It is our heritage, but we need to be Americans first. Okay? Wherever you may have been born, or wherever your ancestors may have been born, your nationality is American. That's the country in which you were born and raised. That's one thing that we all have in common. So let's stop focusing on race. Sometimes I tell my story going back to my grandparents or my great grandparents, but that's really for me to know. I don't need to wear that on t-shirts and wear it on my sleeve and go around preaching to everybody. This is where we live. I want this country to do better than any other country on the planet. Because this is where I live. This is where all my friends live. This is where all my family lives, and where my children are growing up and going to take over from us. So America first. I hope that we move more towards focusing on Americans instead of, not just race, but all these other different identities that people are identified with. See, human rights are important. Everyone has certain inalienable rights as an American. And everybody basically essentially needs the same stuff. We all got the same needs because we're all human. So don't let these people divide you and have all these hills that they want to die on, and things that they want to tell you about what is important for you and what you should fight for. Everybody wants to live in a safe neighborhood. Everyone needs a job, or if you own a business, whatever it is, everyone needs a source of income to be able to take care of themselves. And they want to be safe. They want to be free. If they want to do something that's not going to affect other people, let them do it. Let them do it, please. America first. The voter results were very close. I mean, when I saw, and I didn't start tuning in or checking out until after 6:30, 7 o'clock, and I saw that Kamala Harris had 180 or 182 electoral votes, and Trump had like 230 at the time. Yes, he was winning and approaching 270, but I know that things could change. And then when it was all over and done, Kamala had over 200. I think she had 220 electoral votes. That's a lot. Now, that's not the popular vote, but it is still half the country. Half the country, not half the states, because you can't look at the number of states. You have to look at the overall population of the country. But it was surprising to me how many people stayed home and didn't vote. The voter turnout was very low. So uh, let me tell you some stats that I heard on Red Eye Radio. So basically, all over the country, in urban areas, in rural areas, that the compared to 2020, that it was 150,000 less voters, or 200,000 less voters. This is in rural and in urban areas. So less people voting, less people voting all over the country. And then they said among women that it was 100,000 less women voting in rural and urban areas in most of the cities in America. So women didn't even want to come out and vote for Kamala Harris. They didn't even feel confident voting for her. Women didn't. So, I hate to see that, because it looks like apathy, and like I don't care. Like I got my head in the sand, and all I care about is me and mine, and I don't care about my country, and just I'm living in my own world. I never watch the national news. I only maybe the local, but all I care, as long as I'm able to have my job, get up in the morning, go to work, come home, Netflix and chill, go bowling, go to the movies, go out to eat once in a while. I'm happy. I don't care. I hate that. And I know that in 2020, 66% of eligible voters voted. Even with all this propaganda about one candidate being the devil and the other being Hitler or whatever, you would think that more people would come out and vote. So that was one thing that was surprising, right? Voter results very low. Um, Maybe Kamala's voters can hope for the results of the things that Trump does to benefit them. How about that? things may be presented a certain way, or certain people may try to scare you. Whatever is done, whatever title they give to a bill or to a plan, hope that the results benefit you or benefit some people. I mean, there's different areas of life. You got people that are in college, people that are retired, people that uh, are middle age, working class, whatever. But just hope that, and let's wait and see. Let's wait and see. We got a great idea of what we can expect. I think that Trump has dialed down and become less volatile, and less graphic in his speech, or less polarizing in the things that he's said. I think that he's learned to work with and get along with other people, which is not something that he was used to before he was president. He was, I mean, it's a company, his companies with the hotels and real estate, and with the MGM Grand and all of that. But he was the head over all of those companies. He was like a dictator to his own people. So when he had to start working with Congress, he wasn't used to that. He was used to getting his way. So I noticed him change over the 4 years that he was in there. Um, when you've been shot, when there's been murder attempts on your life more than once, and that's why it's attempts instead of attempt, but that can humble a person, or that can change a person. That's you know, I I'm not making excuses, but I think that's one of the reasons he didn't do that well uh in the debate with Kamala Harris. And a lot of Trump supporters and conservatives get mad at me for saying that, just for the debate, because a part of debate is managing your answers, and not talking over people, and maintaining your composure and not getting angry. And so she put a couple of bear traps out there for him. He took the bait, and he got upset. But this was within a week or two of of one of the assassination attempts. So I don't know. I would be stressed out, and I think that, I don't know. It has an effect on you when you've been shot, or you know that someone is trying to kill you. Usually, it makes you more scared and paranoid, or it makes you fearless. One good example of that is 50 Cent, the rapper. Um, most of his success came after he was shot 9 times and had to recover from that. So somebody that's been shot 9 times and survives, they feel like they're on borrowed time. Every day for the rest of their life is gravy, that they should have been gone. And there's an attitude of, I don't care now. I really don't care. You know, Walter White, Breaking Bad. I was talking to one of my sons about Breaking Bad last night, and just how in the first couple of episodes he found out that he had cancer and was given a limited amount of time to live. So because of that, he said, "Well, nothing. Whatever I do, I'm checking out anyway." And so it can just have a psychological effect on you. Um, Kamala Harris was somebody that was put in there within the last few months before the election, like really last minute. First, the Democrats were stepping over her and looking past her at other people, and she wasn't even up for discussion, and her name wasn't on the table. And then they came to her, and there's a lot of stuff that happened behind the scenes. I'm not going to go into that with this show, but Biden did not want to step down. And I believe after the debate, after that debate with Trump, where he was mumbling and having memory loss and not able to put his words together, I think he gave an answer referencing healthcare was something that, that answer had nothing to do with the question, and he was just falling apart. And so the Democrats felt like he couldn't win. He couldn't win. So he didn't want to. He said it. He said afterwards, I'm in it for the long haul. I'm in it for the next 4 years. There's nothing wrong with me. Even though that wasn't true, my point is he didn't want to step down. And then I believe that the Democrats threatened him with the 25th Amendment. And then he resigned, and there was a resignation letter. In that resignation letter, he didn't say why he was resigning. Does anybody find that to be odd? Have you ever seen that in a corporation or someone stepping down from a high position anywhere? They resign and they don't say in their resignation speech or in their resignation letter why. And the reason why he resigned is because he was having cognitive issues. His brain wasn't working. We can't be our best self when the physical parts of our brain are not working. It's not Biden's fault. He had an embolism. He had 3 embolisms and an aneurysm, and that's unfortunate. And the doctors who worked on him did the best that they could do. But it's after that people notice a difference with him. When he was vice president of the United States, you could at least understand what he was saying, even if you disagreed with him. So he was a different person. But just saying that to say that hopefully the next candidate that the Democrats put up there, because the Democrats are not going away, they'll be back. They will be the number one party that opposes the Republicans in 2028. And hopefully that candidate will have won some primaries. They will have gone to the Iowa caucuses, and they will have some delegates, because that's really the way to do it. And there should have been some kind of emergency primary for Kamala. And so, listen, there was a coup d'etat ejecting Biden, and then they put Kamala up there as the nominee. And none of us have ever seen that before. The first person that I know of that got a nomination and didn't have any delegates. So hopefully, it'll be someone next time, and I'm sure it will, because it's a very unusual thing that happened, and someone who at least is in control of their cognitive functions, so that that's not even a factor. So that in debating or in talking about politics at the next election, we can really talk about their policy. Because when someone's health is in decline, we can't even get to policy, because they're already showing that they're not fit to be president. So anyway, people, be optimistic. I hope that Trump has Secret Service and security up to wazoo, because we already know that there are people that want him taken out. So, hey, God bless America, and let's hope for the best. We're all Americans. We're all on the same team as far as that goes. Understand you got the red and the blue, and you got different political parties. But we need to stop supporting Ukraine. We need to pull out of that. Ukraine can't beat Russia. We've given them over $170 billion. They can't win. More people are dying because Ukraine can't surrender. But we're propping them up so that they can fight. So we need to pull out of that. Russia doesn't appreciate us helping Ukraine. Okay? A superpower that's our military enemy, they know that we're helping their enemy. How do you think Putin feels about that? So anyway, I told y'all where you can find us on Facebook. and different platforms also outside of YouTube is Amazon, iTunes, and the wonderful Spotify. Ladies and gentlemen, this is Elmo the Conservative. You have been watching Brutally Honest Talk Radio. God bless you. And I'll tell you what, I'll catch you on the next episode. Take care.